Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to one of our continuous learning webinars again for in our community. So basically, what's going to happen would be we'll try to cover the different profiles, no, as well as trading styles that we kind of use in our community. Para din at least some of you may be refreshed as well as magkaroon din ng konting alignment as well as siguro decision point for those na somehow, di ba, iba sila nasa exploration stage, no? And when you see na, okay, these are the things that are parang mas may deep dive discussion about certain setups or profiles, at least may tingin na, okay, I'm more aligned with this one and I think I can now further pursue my mastery towards this typical or this exact or specific no na personality or profile in terms of trading. So for today, we'll discuss kumbaga, about swing momentum trading. Okay. Again, the caveat for this one is that in our style, we have our own definition of swing trading, and we also incorporate momentum in it. Okay, so we'll be discussing it in further detail later, especially when we go into yung price action. Kasi I've incorporated some ideas here in terms of multiple time frame trading na pwede nyo magamit in terms of, let's say, we're trying to swing trade kumbaga sa mga crypto or other global markets. Okay, sige, so let's start. And so before we start discussing a profile, we always have this discussion point about how typically traders compare different trading systems. So we had this one we were talking about end of day trading. We had this one as well when we talk about momentum trading. So ito, no, parang when it comes to swing trading again or swing momentum, you always have to know and understand that each trading system has their own pros and cons. Okay, hindi mo talaga pwedeng i-compare sila to one another, no? They're kumbaga ano sila parang apples versus oranges. Okay, hindi sila pwedeng i-compare. The goal lang, so ang goal mo when you're trying to explore, when you're trying to go and try different kinds of trading styles would be to understand which style really matches your personal profile as well as your trading goals. Okay, so any of these two, or actually a combination of this both of this one, is something that you can really use as a checklist, no, or as a check and balance. Ano ba talaga gagamitin ko? Okay, and eventually when you finally go into that kind of alignment, no, finally you can focus on individual mastery instead of comparison. Okay, so what happens is that, di ba nga, we're trading within a community, and aside from your own individual community, you're also trading, let's say, within a bigger social network. Diba? You see other traders posting their trades, posting their port snaps, okay? And you can't help but compare, di ba? Ay, ba't niya na-trade yun? Ay, ba't niya nagawa tong trade na to? How did they execute at that level? How did they gain that kind of profits, okay? Until anong ka pa such a point wherein you're trying to compare, no? Or yun yung parang ginagamit mo as gauge in terms of trying to hop different systems, trying to study different systems, okay? Mahirapan ka pa mag-move towards mastery, okay? Ang goal mo is to really find that kind of alignment where, okay, I really want to pursue this trading system, this trading style kasi pasok na pasok siya sa profile ko and my own personal goals. Kasi yung time mo na gusto mo magamitin for trading. At pag andun ka sa point na yun, you can now focus on mastery, di ba? Hindi mo na kailangan i-compare yung different metrics ng mga ibang systems, okay? Now, when it comes to swing momentum, ano ba talaga yung pinaka-pros niya, kumbaga? Okay? Now, ito for me individually lang. So, some swing traders kasi, they think that they should be working on this different types of metrics, di ba? NPC percent gain, having the fastest trade, per having the lowest AP. And for me kasi ito talaga, personally, the greatest strength in swing momentum trading is the flexibility it affords traders. Okay? May nagsabi nga dito, may nag-PM sa akin na parang na-appreciate nila yung swing momentum trading kasi nga, kumbaga yung style na gano'n, hindi niya pagpapalit. Yung flexibility of it in the dynamism of the system itself, hindi niya pagpapalit for the other metrics na meron yung ibang trading systems. Okay? So, ano ba yung metrics sa ibang systems? For example, when it comes to position trading, di ba? Or ano ba yung pinakamaganda metric on position trading? It's having the lowest AAP. Ano maganda about the metric of, let's say, trend following? It's having the largest percent gain kasi nasasakyan mo yung buong trend. Di ba? Ano yung metric ng, let's say, momentum trading? The metric of momentum trading would be yung fastest gains, di ba? Over a short period of time na pwede mo i-compound. Okay? So those are the individual metrics na meron yung different kinds of trading systems or trading styles. Pero when it comes to swing momentum, for me talaga, the best asset that you can have when you're using this type of system is the flexibility it affords. Kasi bakit? There is a very strong importance or emphasis in terms of risk and trade management when you're using this type of system. Bakit? Kasi yun yung wala naman yung ibang systems, okay? Yes, they might have some sort of kumaga parang risk and trade management increase, pero may kulang. Okay, what do I mean by that? For example, let's say position trading. Okay, ano ba yung risk mo doon? Your risk could be the time risk. So hindi lang siya laging capital risk, okay? Yung time risk mo, yung meron doon when it comes to position trading. Bakit? Diba? Pwedeng ang tagal mong umupo sa isang stock, tapos hindi pa nag-materialize yung trade. So doble yung talo mo. Diba? Pwedeng natalo ka sa oras, natalo ka pa sa capital. Pero meron namang times na, okay, pumusisyon ka, tapos nag-materialize after, ano yung talo mo dun? When it comes to metrics nga, again, we're trying to just look at different kinds of metrics and different systems. Siyempre, mas matagal yung upo mo dun, pero nag-materialize naman trade, so that's fine, di ba? At least capital was not lost. For example naman, let's say, sa momentum trading, ano ba yung pwedeng mawala sa'yo dun, di ba? Ang minsan nawawala dun would be yung compounding ng gains, di ba? Let's say, you're just really trying to flip the trade over and over again. When it comes to major trends, major movers, na mismo yung bulk of the move. Bakit? Kasi nga high AP ka. Minsan, you can't ride the pullbacks or the retests ng trend. So, hindi mo siya mahawakan. Okay, so sometimes you miss out on the compounding gains. Ano pa ba? Some styles kasi also have difficulty in terms of timing yung pag-allocate niya. For example, let's say momentum trading. Kaya mo magpasok agad ng isang bagsakan allocation kasi bakit? Kailangan di ba? You're already entering at a high AP, so kailangan may conviction kasi ipapasok mo allocation agad, di ba? Kasi nga you're entering later than most of the traders. Pero when it comes to, let's say, failed trades, di ba? And mga would be, you're trying to cut that whole allocation, okay? So minsan doon nag-shine yung swing momentum style natin. Bakit? So ito yung parang different ideas of it. For example, in terms of swing momentum, in terms of increasing your percent gain alone, instead, pag gusto mo itong gamitin as your style, swing momentum traders should focus on having strategies where they can compound size. Meaning, di ba, huwag ka matakot. Kasi nga, it's a style wherein you allow yourself different or multiple entry points that are technically valid. Di ba? Hindi ka masyadong restricted towards just one style or one entry key level. Okay? When you have that kind of luxury, ano pwede mong gawin, di ba? At least, you can, let's say, put on just a smaller size dun sa initial entry mo. Pero it's not an entry na medyo late, di ba? Kung gumagawa na rin siya, kaya nga swing di ba? It's not a position trade. So you're trying to, ang term ko later would be probing. You're trying to test the waters. You have a signal, and you're testing your allocation para in the instance, kasi nga daw wala namang 100% win rate. Wala namang system na laging panalo on your initial entry. Pag natalo ka on your initial entry, it's almost always going to be lower than your standard allocation. Meaning, kung ikaw, when it comes to, let's say, momentum traders na isang pasok lang agad, yung size nila, tapos kakat ka diba agad, ikaw, even if, let's say, you cut also on, let's say, break even or at comps loss, it's still half or less than the allocation na ginagamit ng ibang trading styles, wherein they have to enter agad at one key level lang. Okay, so at least it affords you the strategy to compound size as needed. Tapos, ito pa, having the fastest trade only, ang kagandahan when it comes to swing momentum trading is that you have the flexibility of being able to sell. So kung flexible ka, pag kailangan magbenta, okay, pwede ka agad magbenta. Kasi bakit? You were able to buy at a lower price versus other trader profile. So yun ang kaibahan din, di ba? Kasi nga, hindi naman lahat ng market conditions are treated the same. Diba? For example, when it comes to bearish conditions wherein yung time frame ng trades would be, the holding period would be just the same day or 1 to 2 days, okay? Yung entry point ng ibang traders would already be your take profit levels, okay? Pero at the same time, you can also change gears, diba? Shift gears. When it comes to conditions na maganda, malakas yung market, dahil meron kang swing entry point, diba? You have an advantage of AAP para makapag na size up ka or hold on to the trade for further pullbacks or trend following na shift in trade objective. So yun maganda. Again, if you notice, it's all about flexibility. Flexibility in sizing. Diba? Ito naman, flexibility in trade objective. Okay? As would be, sabi natin, having to go as AP, ito instead, swing momentum traders should focus on having sound risk and trade management rules wherein they could take advantage of their initial AP. Yung sabi natin would be, ito, dapat din, as a swing momentum trader, huwag kayo matakot gagawin yung AAP nyo. If possible lang, no? Again, if the trade or the market calls for it. No, as a swing momentum trader, dahil nga you're in the middle of both. Kasi nga ano yung sakit ng mga ibang tao? Let's say you're a trend follower. Okay? Hindi ka marunong minsan mag-size up to the trade if you're just purely a trend follower. Okay? You can't identify kasi bakit? Most of the time, kaya nga sila nag-trend follow is that takot sila mag-enter on momentum, for example. Diba? Yung iba sa kanila, takot din sila mag-enter on pullback. Bakit? Kasi for them, they're already trying to wait kung exit na sila. Kita nyo, yun yung mahirap when it comes to when you're a pure trend follower trader. Wala ka ibang styles. Diba? So, meron ka napasukan na trade, but ibang TF traders, hindi nila mag-grow AEP nila. Kasi nga, they can't, parang nahirapan sila i-possess yung mindset of those two different profiles. Pag lumilipad, hindi sila sanay. Sanay silang hawakan lang yung trade nila or bumili ng mura. Tapos, pag nagpo-pullback naman yung stocks, diba sila swing traders excited bumili sa pullback. Sila naman, sina pure TF traders, ang goal nila or ang rules nila for the pullback is already kung mati-trigger or may hit yung take profit or take stop level. Gets ba yun, guys? Diba? So, gets yung mindset nila. Pag nagpo-pullback na yung stock, ang binabantayan ko as a TF trader is may take stop level. Pero, sina swing trader, excited silang mamili pa lang. Okay, so yun yung kaibahan nito. When you're a swing momentum trader, you have that flexibility of mindset na kaya mo ngang i-scale up kasi recognize mo na malakas pa yung trend. Okay, kaya mong i-manage yung AEP mo, kaya mo siyang timplahin, okay, if I enter on this momentum level or in this swing level, this will be my new AEP relative to the possible scenarios of a retest, of next pullback, and so on. Okay, so for me, ito talaga yun eh. If pasok sa'yo, so ako ganun eh, as a trader kasi, I really like, kumbaga being able to have a higher level of control in terms of my risk and trade management, kaya pumasok ko sa profile ko. At the same time, mas trip ko yung magpaplano ako, di ba, on a different level, medyo mas high level pa. I can see both the smaller picture, the bigger picture. And additionally, no, yung idea na pwede kong i-flip and trade or pwede ko siyang i-change objective to a holding objective, it really resonates with me as a trader. Parang ganyan na idea on why this really synced with me. Okay? So, ito yung in terms of ideas about about this strategy. So again, swing momentum trading is essentially a probing strategy wherein you slowly commit to a trade and then pull a conviction trigger once validated by the market. So yun ang idea niya, okay? Parang hindi siya yung type of trade na kailangan agad-agad mag-commit ka. Kasi yun nga yung nangyari sa ibang types of trades, di ba? For example nga, when you're a position trader, you want to commit to a position already, okay? Kung magkakaroon man sila ng added up or sizing up, that means that they're more or less a trader na meron pang different profile. For example, position yung unang tranche nila, tapos momentum pa yung next nila na entry. So that's a different profile totally na, di ba? So the idea here would be kung swing momentum trader ka, wag kang matakot pag nagkaroon ka ng signal mo, di ba? If there's a signal for you to take the trade and it's a signal na nag-show up sa proper context, we'll talk about it later, diba? Don't be afraid to take it kasi nga bakit? It's just your initial allocation or initial tranche into the trade. Diba? Madaling magkamali. Kumbaga, when you compare it to different profiles, ikaw parang where you have two attempts at your probing entry point dun sa pivot entry point mo. Okay? At the same time, okay, yung point here is that you pull the conviction trigger pag na-validate ka ng market. Okay, hindi ikaw yung type of trader na kailangan mo agad maglabas na malaking size immediately into the trade. You wait for another signal in order to pull a trigger for a higher level of allocation. So, dito sa style na to, we'll talk about it later, you have two signals essentially that you're looking out for. Okay, two trigger points ang meron ka. So, ito naman yung psychology about it. It is a strategy where you expect buyers to come in at discount level. So, ito yung term actually na ginamit ng Kigam din eh. So you expect buyers to come in at discounted levels, so pull back lower price levels due to underlying bullishness of a bigger picture trade idea. Okay? Alam mo na may nakikita yung market, okay, na may bigger picture trade pa. Kaya kahit na bumaba yung price ng stock, kahit na nagpo-pull back siya, it's a different context in terms of pullback. Okay? Tapos ito yung sabi natin kanina, for swing momentum trade, this is all about enjoying risk and trade management. Diba? Your losses are always kept at a minimum. Yet you know how to maximize your winners. Okay? Pag hindi mo pa ito nagagawa, ibig sabihin, there is something lacking pa in terms of how well you sync with the style or with the profile. Okay? Hindi mo masasabi na swing momentum ka pag hindi mo kayang mag-size up. Diba? Hindi mo kaya masasabi na swing momentum pag hindi ka nakahanap ng opportunities wherein pullbacks are actually possible entry points or entry levels for your trade. Diba? Yung iba nga ganun na-excite sila pag nagkakaroon ng mga pullback. So, let's talk about market psychology. No? Bakit ba nagkakaroon ng swings? Okay? Why do swings happen? Okay? It's important na meron kayong ganitong understanding of the market, okay, in order to at least have an idea na, okay, ito pala yung naisip nila, okay, and why these things happen. So, first of all would be ito, major market sentiment, okay. So, the reason why some stocks really rally or continuously trend is that there is a major market sentiment na bullish si mga tao. Okay, so bakit ba? Bakit ba tumutuloy or nagkakaroon ng mga swings? Minsan pa nga yung swing natin would be very shallow lang, di ba? 20th fib, 30th fib, or CH na setups. Kasi nga, on a bull market, it actually sometimes gets to a point wherein literally lahat ng tao binibili ng kahit anong presyo. Napansin niyo ba yun, guys? Dun sa mga very, very strong stocks, very strong trends, especially on very bullish markets. Lalo na yung crypto bull run, parang sobrang irrational ng buying, di ba? Napansin niyo ba yun? It's literally like everyone was buying at any price possible. Kaya kahit pag nagpo-pull back siya, 'di ba? It really doesn't parang hit yung levels sa malalim. Okay? People want to, the reason why it's holding very high Fibonacci levels is that they don't care about the price at all. Okay? The market, the general market mood is forcing people to buy. Okay? So pag medyo ganun yung feel mo for the market, okay, irrational yung buying, grabe yung hype, grabe yung news you can see everywhere in social media that people want to buy, people want to trade, mukhang easy mode. Nangyari din sa Pinas eh. Diba? If you notice nung yung panahon na parang namimigay ng pera yung market, diba, early the year, lahat ng tao nagpo-post ng port snaps. Pag ganun, alam mo na, it's a mostly continuation place. Diba? You can really hold on to your stock, yung mga APL, yung mga BC dati, yung mga PC, diba? So pag ganun, if you're using a style na parang nagbebenta ka, okay, you're literally trying to sell to a general market, yung buong market, gustong bighin yung shares mo. Okay? So may feeling naman yan. Again, sentiment analysis is very important. When you feel that the whole market is trying to buy at whatever price possible, you will really see it in terms of sentiment. Okay? So pag ganun, mas effective, mas sumagana din yung mga swing trades. Next would be individual stock catalyst. Okay? Why do swing trades materialize on some individual stocks? Kasi there could be a major catalyst for demand. Again, demand na nangyayari dun eh. Kasi nga nagpo-pull back, pero bakit hindi mayagam? Merong buyer stepping in. Meron nangyayaring major catalyst at the initial stage of the rally, catching the market off guard. So again, ito yung key point dito. Okay? Yung catalyst or yung news announcement shouldn't happen, di ba? Dun sa medyo dulo na or nagparabolic run up na. Kasi pag ganun na nangyari, it's a second news. Pag nangyari would be, let's say, it's coming from a big range or a big consolidation, bigla nag-gap up or nag-rally, di ba? Yung mga ganong klaseng price action that is parang pang backed up by a catalyst, a very strong catalyst for the stock, yung pullbacks nun will be really shallow. Yung mga swing trades mag-materialize. Bakit? Kasi nga, di ba, sabi natin eh, ano yung itsura ng chart? Tulog, sideways, di ba? Or within a range, tapos nagkaroon ng major catalyst. It catches people off guard. Wala pang hawak na shares yung majority of the market. Kaya, yung term din would be parang may nagkakaroon ng new repricing. Okay? Aalamin pa ng market na, okay, ito na yung bagong news eh. Ito na yung bagong nangyari. Ito na yung bagong characteristics of the stock. Let's say, meron siyang new business. Diba yung ginagawa ng mga ibang stocks eh. They spin it off. So, yun sa Pinas they have this, what do you call this? Yung spin-off na ay, mayroon ng bagong new business unit, ay, mayroon ng bagong operation, so on. So, nagbabago talaga yung business eh. Pwede mag-grow yung earnings and so on. So, pag ganun, nagkakaroon ng bagong adjustment yung mga tao, and yung very, very first pullbacks or very first swings in the start of the trend are really opportunities to buy pa lang dun sa mga tao. Okay? Especially for those na interested and hindi pa nila nabibili yung stock na yan. Okay. Then, lastly would be ito. The reason also why swing trades materialize is that there is something really good or enticing in terms of the price action ng isang stock. So for example, ito guys, tingin nyo, bakit pag nagkaroon ng all-time high or multi-year high, nagsasucceed yung mga swing trades niya? What do you think happens in terms of market psychology? So, compare in different trader profiles. Ano nangyayari sa kanila? What triggers this kind of swing phenomenon? So, try to understand. Chasing, maybe, ano pa? Okay. Sige, what else? Mahabol. Okay, naubos sa sellers. Okay, ako, I like to also think in terms of technicals. Okay. So, for me kasi ito yung nangyayari. Yung all-time high and MOH setup, it's a setup na lahat ng trader profile meron silang trigger or buying signal. Okay? So lahat. Kasi nga, when you try to look at different chart price actions or different entry points sa isang chart, merong parte dun sa chart na parang, ay, si swing yung papasok dyan. Ay, si momentum na papasok dyan. Ay, si position na papasok dyan. Ay, si TF30 na papasok dyan. Gets ba yun, guys? Pero, when you mark that area ng MOH 88, it's a level in that chart wherein lahat ng trader profiles may setup sila dyan. For sure, they have a setup there. So for example, isang trend follower, that's a major milestone, di ba? Pag nabasag yung 8H, MYH, tapos hawak nila isang stock, they would really want to hold on to it further. Some of them might be trying to scale up into the trade. Di ba? Ano pa? Let's say you're a momentum trader. Okay? Ang nangyayari would be yung major break na yon, di ba? They would be buying it. Kasi bakit? Sa major break, may setup sila doon. Okay? Additionally, yung iba sa kanila, ano mangyayari? Yung iba pwede ma-bull trap, ma-whipsaw, tapos buyback sila. So that will be another trigger for the next swing. Yung buyback ng mga momentum traders, magiging trigger for the next swing. Tapos, iba pa would be, after the breakout ng 8H, MOH, some momentum traders would be selling it. Diba? Hindi naman kasi lahat ng momentum traders after mag-MOH or 8H break, hinuhold agad eh. Diba? Some momentum traders, after the 8H or MOH break, yung pinaka-initial na surge nun, they sell it. Diba? Bakit? Kasi hindi sila convinced na magtutuloy-tuloy yung rally, or it's because they really want to stick to their trade objective. Diba? And so, pagkaroon ng pullback, tapos nag-materialize yung swing, kaya nagsasucceed lalo yung swing trade is that the momentum traders who sold need to buy back dun sa exact level na yun. Diba? They have a setup for it eh. Okay? Tapos ganun din, yung MH8H level na yun, diba? Yung mindset din ng swing traders would be, okay, this is a level na alam namin na lahat ng tao potentially bibili. So if there are any kinds of free tests, pullbacks towards the level na yan, pwede namin bilhin. Kasi nga, they really know that almost all trader profiles have a setup at that level. Everyone is looking at it. Diba? Yun yung pinaka-common. So again, you have to think about that in terms of market psychology. Diba? There are some parts of the chart. So, hindi makita eh. Ba't yung ibang swing trades ko sa mga range hindi gumagana, sa mga down hindi gumagana? Kasi nga, those might be areas wherein ikaw lang or yung profile niyo lang yung nag-trade versus some areas of the chart wherein you know na other profiles have a setup as well for that part of the chart, for that price action. Diba? Yung iba nag-buy up, yung iba nag-scale up, yung iba first buy pa lang. Diba? At least, if all the trader profiles come in or congregate at that key level, talaga mas nagsasucceed yung setup. Sabi nga doon ni Cap before, it's a self-fulfilling. Yung TA na technical analysis sometimes is just a self-fulfilling na event in terms of trading. Okay? So let's talk about some setups. Again, we'll talk about it on a deeper level and a context level, the basis. So trade setups, every setup back is a setup for a comeback. So ito muna. No, we have to understand saan ba natin hinahanap yung swing trade. So chart conditions. Okay? Always know and understand the context where you are setting up the swing. Okay? So first of all would be downtrend. Okay? Saan ka ba pwede makahanap ng potential swing setups on a downtrend? And why are we also discussing it? Kasi nga, later on during our presentation, our discussion, we'll talk about multi-time frame analysis. Okay? Minsan kasi meron yung combination eh. When you're able to understand, let's say, a downtrend, tapos nagkaroon ng setup sa downtrend for the swing, di ba? Pwedeng yun yung lower time frame mo na setup for the higher time frame mo na pivot candle. Later on, I'll be discussing it kung medyo magabo yun. Pero yun yung idea. Di ba? Pwedeng, let's say, 15 minutes mo downtrend yun. Tapos meron kang higher low setup for the swing. Pero pag tinaas mo yun ng time frame, let's say, H1, H4, or daily, yun pala yung pivot entry mo for the swing setup. So yun yung idea. Diba? Again, pag when you're a swing momentum trader, very flexible na, very dynamic na. Okay, so sige, ito muna, downtrend. So when coming from a reversal attempt, the swing trade can be a potential higher low for swing momentum play, and you always have to check for these things. Okay, pwedeng maghahanap ka ng divergence. Okay? Ano ba yun? Diba, parang yung mga bull div or double bottoms, usually meron din mga VCP yun. Pag malaki pa yung range or very strong yung downtrend, kailangan makahanap ka ng mga VCP as well. Tapos very crucial yung trend shift area breaks and retests. Okay, so ano ba yung itsura nun sa chart? So downtrend, swing trades. Downtrend. So again, what happens would be, there is a prevailing downtrend first. Okay. Tapos ano yung mga pwede mangyari? One could be, there would be a divergence. So ito, nag-diverge, diba? Yung RSI mo pwedeng gumaganyan. Tapos, ang important would be, you always have to monitor and mark as well yung trend shift areas. Diba? Itong area na to, yung previous na levels, previous Starbus. Okay. What happens would be, there are variations. Sometimes, yung ano mo, yung higher low mo would be, mauuntog muna sa previous lower area ng previous box, tapos dito yung higher low. Okay. Now, this is a risky swing trade. It's not a high probability swing trade. Bakit? Kasi yung encounter na structure ng swing mo would be two strong resistances pa from the trend shift area. So ito, this is the weakest swing trade on a downtrend. Okay, yung classification na weakest. Okay. Tapos ano pa isang variation? We have a normal swing na downtrend wherein aabot siya dun sa dito, previous area, tapos pupull back siya. So ito yung mga gumagawa ng price action patterns for potential inverse head and shoulder setups. Okay, so this is a normal phenomenon na nangyayari. So this is also sometimes a higher low na pwede mong i-swing trade. Okay. So again, this can be traded on the daily chart. Pero pag daily to guys, iba yung objective, di ba? Kasi bakit? Downtrend is on the daily. So pwedeng, once you swing it, ano sabi natin kanina? Meron ka mga swing trades na pwede mong ibenta agad-agad. Di ba? So pag ito, say ito, this is on the daily, pag daily chart tong itsura na ganito, maybe you will be selling this one, di ba? Pwedeng dito or dito. Okay? Pero when we go later to multiple time frame analysis, let's say this could be an M15 chart, di ba? So syempre iba na yung objective mo, di ba? What if you enter the swing trade here, tapos na-trade mo higher kasi bakit? Nag-trend to, for example, on the M15. So meron kang higher target for H4, H1. Okay, we'll talk about that later ba? So this is the normal swing trade on a downtrend, normal strength. Kanina weakest, but this is a normal. Tapos yung stronger swing on a downtrend would be those that are above the trend shift. Tapos dito pa lang yung magiging higher low niya. Okay? If you notice, meron din kasi itong kabangga na nangyayari in terms of two things. Fibonacci as well as RSI. Okay? Kaya mahina yung kanina. So let's say, dito lang, no? Ganyan. Okay? Kaya mahina to kasi bakit? If you notice, yung fib niyan, levels would be within mga 50 levels, 50 fib, and so on. Baka nga lower pa. Or kung mataas man yung fib, let's say ito, 38 to, or 23 fib, saan to mahina, guys? Sa RSI. Okay? Ang nangyari dyan would be, di ba ito, diverging ka. Diverging. Okay? When you have a leg up, doon natin RSI. So, ngayon RSI, tapos, sasabayan ng ganyan. Yan. So, nag-higher low na yung RSI, tapos nag-lower low yung price. Okay? Ito, on next move ganyan, so, try to imagine nyo na lang guys, this would be 30. Okay. Dahil mahina yung leg up na to, tapos nag-pullback siya, malamang din yung next na pullback ng RSI would be within 30 levels pa. Okay? So, kung hindi man siya mahina sa FIBO, mahina siya sa RSI. Yung kaibahan niyan would be yung kaya natin sinabi na normal swing on a downtrend or stronger swing on a downtrend, it differs on RSI. Usually ito, what happens would be, mayroon yung mga touch within RSI 50 or pwede nga mag-break above RSI 50 and hold above RSI 50. Okay, so yung mga ganito, usually meron yung RSI 50 component. RSI 50 to 30 ang zoning yan. Yung kanina, mas near siya sa 30. Tapos sometimes din, yung iba, pag sobrang lakas nga na naging rally niyan, okay, higher dyan, this could be actually a hit on RSI 70. Tapos yung pullback niyan, it's above RSI 50. Parang ganyan. RSI 70 or below. So ito RSI 50 and above. Ganyan yung itsura niyan. Okay? So different strengths of reversal na nagkakaroon ka pa ng confluence sa swing. Okay, so again, I would just want you guys to observe this kasi nga, it's a general naman na price action pag inanalize siya. So ganito yun sa downtrend swing trades. Okay? Questions guys for downtrend swings. May question. Okay, later on we'll go to the trigger. Pero ito muna. I want you guys to really master understanding yung movement of price action. May tanong kayo for how to look at different strengths sa downtrend swings. Apa? Sige. So next variation would be, so ito yung mga may divergence, no? Sometimes, hindi agad-agad yan nagmamaterialize. Okay? Later on we'll talk about yung mga scale up. Okay? Sometimes hindi agad yan nagmamaterialize. Okay? You might have variations wherein nagkakaroon ka ng double bottom. Okay? And yung variations niyan, di ba minsan mag-diverge ulit yan, ganyan. Okay? Kumaga, akala mo nag-swing na, let's say nag-change ka dito, ito yung low, tapos tatamaan, tapos siya babalik higher, mga ganyan. May mga ganyan na price action, no? Okay? So, pwede ganyan, mag-double bottom siya. Pero again, same key ba yung kaya mabantayan, okay? You have to monitor the trend shift area. Okay? If it breaks above niyan, dito yung swing mo. Or, kung nagawa siya ng structure below, okay, dito yung swing mo. So, yan usually, naging itsura ng mga swing entry points after a double bottom. Okay? Now, sometimes, pag yung downtrend talaga magakas, so very volatile yung downtrend, no? It shifts instead to a sideways range. Yes, better if oversold siya in reversal swing. So sometimes ito nagiging sideways range yan. Okay? So ano naman yung variation sa sideways na movements? Okay? So again, if this is the intraday time frame, you can also imagine na ito nangyari sa intraday. Or kung daily man to, iba na itsura nun. No? Those will be really momentum setups. So let's go muna for intraday na itsura. So let's say you have a big range. Okay, kaya nag-big range siya. Usually, yung naging setups ng force swing would be within a VCP. Ano nangyari doon? Diba? Nagkakaroon ka ng consolidation here. Nagkatayo nagkaka-VCP. Tapos, pwedeng breakout. Okay, breakout. Then, this is your swing point. Yung confirmation ng microbox bago mag-rally. Okay. Sometimes, yung swing happens at a higher level pa ng range. For example, pwedeng dito yung VCP, tapos di siya nagbigay ng swing. Okay. It will give the swing here, at this level here. Yan, dito. Hindi siya ganyan nangyayari. Bago siya mag-continuation, agad. Again, what you want to do would be yung swing entry if ever mode be just a probe, no? A test buy. Tapos pag nag-materialize yung breakout higher, dito ka ulit mag-add after. So next, momentum entry. Okay. So again, variations yan sa range trade. Ang maganda, pag range trade would be, ito dapat yung babantayan nyo. Okay? Dapat maganda yung risk-reward ratio or meron kang higher objective na mag-box up break siya. You have a bias na dapat mag-box up break siya. Okay? Most of the time kasi, pag yung swing mo inside a range is just to sell it on the box stop, ako, at times, I pass on the trade. Di ba? Kasi it might not be worth it. Kasi nga, for me, it's a lower probability, lower quality setup na pwede ko i-take within the range. Pero kunwari, ang ganda ng risk-reward sa loob ng range. Plus, there is a potential bias wherein this inner range swing is a potential breather or pause bago basagin yung backstop, mas tinitake ko yung swing inside the range. Okay? So again guys, ganun mo idea dito. The reason why you want to take a swing inside of a range is that you have a bias na babasagin yung backstop. Kaya sumiset up ka muna ng additional buy or initial buy mo dun sa swing inside the box, inside the range. Okay? So, clear ba yun? May questions kayo dito? Later, when we go to some charts na samples, gaya na sa crypto, kasi madami doon na intraday na multi-time finances, mas makikita nyo yun, nagmamaterialize. Okay, so sideways, swing trades. So again, usually there are retests inside the range after a micro box break. So kailangan may momentum pa rin, no? Yan, after nito, or sa higher level. Minsan, yung BCP niyan, hindi pa nangyayari sa baba eh. What could happen would be, pwedeng, kasi ayaw mag-BCP eh. So, dito nag-BCP instead. So, saan ang swing mo dyan? Okay? You can take the swing higher pa dito. Okay, levels above here. So, this is a momentum entry. So, pwede kayo mag-buy dyan. Diba? Then, you can add na lang if it's yung magkaroon ng swing dyan. Or if you miss the momentum trade, diba? Hintayin mo na lang magkaroon ng swing entry after. So, again, this is also common in crypto. Diba? Okay? And then, sorry guys. So, this is also common in crypto, wherein pagka-breakout niyan, dito pa yung una mong trade, if ever. Okay, the swing there. Next would be conditions wherein it's an uptrend. Okay, typically these are your AAA or high probability setups. Sige, balikan muna yung tanong natin. Yan, sige, so good in terms of RR. Okay, now yung RR kasi, di ba, different objective siya. When you try to gauge the RR of this whole box, ito. Okay. So, gusto natin maganda RR, di ba? So, if the micro box is coming dun sa baba, ito. Okay. The idea would be, yung rally mo from the micro box, sorry. And, let's say, di ba, you're gauging the RR of this one. If meron kang micro box here, the reason why you want a good RR is that meron kang option na makabenta dun sa loob ng range. Bakit? Kasi if ever man to mag-rally, tapos sa baba yung microbox, ano yung tsura yan? It might be an extended move. Okay? Dahil nga, dito ka nang galing, tapos binalik out mo, if it does break out sa box top, baka mag-fail siya. Kasi extension yung pinanggalingan niya. So at least, if ever it does fail, so scenario planning natin, if ever mauntog siya dito, at least you have a very good RR. Sorry. At least if ever, di ba? If ever man mag-fail siya, mauntog siya dito, this trade here has a good RR. Yun ang idea. Di ba? Kasi hindi naman tayo sure anong pwede mga dito. This could just go back entirely to the range. You can see this in some PSC charts ha. Nga ganyan would be, pag-break out sa microbox, makabalik siya sa loob na range. Nga ganyan. Kasi andito yung dating key level eh. Nakita niya ba to sa PSC charts? Yung mga ganito eh. Pag microbox break, tapos binabalikan niya yung previous na microbox. Diba? So yun ang idea here. Diba? Pag hindi sulit ito RR, tapos hindi mo nabenta kahit partial here, pag bumayag siya, malalim din ang pagbabalikan niya. Okay? Now, yung sa isa naman na scenario wherein sa taas ng gayang yung microbox or VCP, dito diba? And so dito yung VCP above DB50. The idea naman here is that yes, you have a good bias na mag-breakout siya, di ba? Why do you also want to check for the RR? Kasi nga, you want to check for the possible box TP naman. Yun naman yung kaibahan nun. Okay? Pag ito, para idea would be, this is a breakout na gusto kong abangan kasi it's worth it. Kasi nga, yung RR mode be, ito. Para ganyan yung mga di ba? You will just be replicating this one. Yung target mo is more or less within the breakout of the range. Parang ganyan na idea. So, yun ang reason why you want to look for juicy RR. Ito maganda to pag ano eh. Kunyari, ang ganda na nga nung naging consolidation. Tapos, let's say this one is a very good volatility area pa. Yung madali siyang ma-hit agad ng target price. Okay? Pag kunyari, meron kang, kasi ano na nga dyan? Actually, this happens sa mga flash crash eh. On a flash crash, what happens would be, very, very strong yung bagsak. Tapos, di ba, ano yung unang mangyari pagkaroon ng flash crash? Very volatile muna. Ang hirap niya i-bounce eh, di ba? Kasi bakit? Ang hirap nung yung trading range. So, gagawa ng volatile trading range. Tapos, saka siya magkaka-VCP yan. Or minsan dyan mag-VCP. So, pag nag-breakout yan, kakainin niya ulit itong range na to. You will see this on some, parang yung mga, capitulation charts. Babagsak ng malaki, tapos ang laki ng ranges, siguro mag-VCP after, siguro lang babawiin niya ulit. Kakainin niya ulit yung ginawang bagsak ng price level. Okay. Ayan. So for me, Bazian, mas prefer ko na may component ng RSI zone shift for swings on a downtrend. It really helps a lot. Yes, you can trade with price action alone, Pero at least when you see RSI, magkakaroon ka ng mas idea kung pwedeng malakas or mahina yung attempt niya at a reversal. Okay? Again, it's tricky to trade reversals. Pero when you see some reversals, okay, that are very strong, meaning pumapalo siya hanggang RSI 70, okay, malakas yun, maganda yung bantayan for the possible higher low swing. Tapos saka siya mag-trend higher. Okay? So, for example, sa crypto madaming ganito eh. Sa crypto yung pinaka-notorious yung parang gayang ng bagsak tapos biglang magsi-70 na unang palo tapos mag-hold. Sobrang notorious ang crypto sa ganun eh. Ito. So, Koti is a very good sample. Okay? So, if you notice, ito yung sample ng, di ba, ito yung sideways range. Sideways siya, di ba? Okay? Tapos, hindi naman siya nag-oversold. Pero yung RSI niya, more or less, parang nag-double bottom with price. Tapos ito yung microbox niya, di ba? Pero if you notice, anong itsura nung rally niya? Di ba? Yung higher low rally, okay, dito, more or less, isang move siya agad na pumapalo ng RSI 70. Okay? So some crypto tokens are notorious with this one. May moves sila na coming from oversold, papalo agad ng 70. So pag ganun, maganda yun versus yung mga iba na nag-down. For example, ito, di ba? Yung mga movements sa ganitong pumapalo na lagi ng within 30, 50 pa lang, di ba? Those are weaker swings. Okay? Pero pag ganyan, yung pumapalo na malakas, iba yun. So tingin pa tayo ng, let's say, Sol. Yung Sol kasi maganda rin yun eh. Sige, for example, ito. Yung downtrend swing ni Sol dito. Ito natin itong July. Ito ko mga H1 siguro. So yung downtrend swing ni Sol, we might see divergences. Pero pag pumapago yung price ng malakas, yan to. So for example, ito. Yan. So kinakita yung difference, oh. So, pumapago siya ng 70. So for example, for Sol, ano yung itsura niyan? Okay. Diba? It was going lower yung price. Okay. Tapos, nagkaroon ka ng divergence. Diba? So lower price, higher low, RSI. Okay. Now, ano yung crucial dyan na swing? Okay. You would always try to check the swing points happening dito sa redshift areas. Okay. Pag gagawin pag nag-share screen ako bumabagal. Pag mag-isa lang nag-chart mabilis. Kaya ba ito? Itong level na to, di ba? So ito yung babantayan mo. So kanina we were showing na ito, you can totally avoid naman yung ganitong swings, di ba? Kasi nga, though we had different categorization for swings eh, coming from downtrend. Weak swing in dito, normal swing to. Diba ito yung normal swing eh, kasi bakit inverse na shoulders ginagawa niya. Stronger swing would be those are happening above the 10 shift area. So for example, ito, may strong swing attempt siya kaso di naman nag-materialize. Anong ginawa niya instead? Gumawa siya ng bigger box, pero ito higher low pa rin to ah. So high, low, high, low. So ito yung isang swing niya na attempt, di ba? So this is the pivot candle happening here. Itong wait. Ito. So this is a pivot swing, di ba? Sabi natin yun ang babantayan mo eh. Yung mga naging swing, stronger swing point above the trend shift area. And if you notice ang ginawa niya, the swing attempt coming from this one, hindi na siya naghintay ng ibang zoning, di ba? Hindi na siya nag-consolidate or nag-stay within 30 or within 50. It went directly to 70. Okay. So pag may mga ganyan ka swing attempts, usually it's a precursor for a reversal. Parang ganyan yung mangyayari. So pwedeng ko ito muna i-trade mo. So syempre madami itong opportunity sa M15. Diba? After nag-consolidate ulit siya, and so on. So again, ibang balita na yun. We're just trying to look at different time frames. Okay. Clear yan guys so far. These are reversals. There's a component of RSI where it tells you na it's going to be a stronger swing attempt kasi yung higher low niya may component of RSI wherein the next possible price action after might shift on uptrend. Hindi na siya quick play. Diba? Kasi yung gusto mo makita eh. Is this a swing na pwede maging range after? Kaya bebenta ko lang agad yung swing trade? Or is this a higher go swing na pwede mag-start ng uptrend? Kasi bakit? Nasa strong RSI zoning agad siya. Okay, after the reversal attempt. So again, this is different kasi we're talking about multi-time frame analysis ha. Pag sa day ito, medyo mas matagal, pero let's say you're a crypto trader, mas maganda to. Diba? You can combine different price action charts. Meron kang lower time frame analysis as well as higher time frame analysis. Okay, so let's go back to uptrends naman ha. So pag uptrends again, these are your AAA or high probability setups. These are best used for strong trends with shallow pullbacks and strong RSI levels. Now, sa Kigam kasi, they also have what they call yung degree ng trend. So meron tayong tinatawag na 45, 60, 90 degree trends. So 45, 60, and 90 degree trends. Kung magiging yung height sa atin, pwede yun yung consider MA trail. O sa kanila, kung pag 45, yun yung mga steady lang. So parang think of a triangle, no? 45, ganyan lang siya. So steady trend. 60, mas steep. 90, parabolic. Okay? Now, ang classification would be, we want to trade yung swing momentum natin sa mga trends wherein ganito siya kalakas, no? Mga 60 to 90. Bakit? Kasi pag 45 degree yung trend mo, ano yan? It's mostly for only swing trading. Okay? Pag 45 degree yung trends, mas mahirap dyan mag-swing momentum or mag-momentum. Bakit? Kasi nga, the retests in a 45 degree trend usually happens dito sa level ito or lower. Diba? So yun idea. Okay? If it's lower trend, usually dun ka pwede mag-pure swing, diba? Or pure trend follow. Kasi nga, yung mga retests naman nun, okay, inaabot to. So if you see your pure swing, dito ka lagi, diba? Mas safe ka. Pag momentum ka, malamang, when you enter on the breakout, you sell it agad-agad. No? Pero, kasi the idea here would be, if you're a swing momentum trader, hindi ka makapag-add up. Kasi pag in-add up mo, tatama kasi nga 45 degree yung trend. Okay? So again, if you're a swing momentum trader na nagsiscale up dun sa mga trades mo, maganda, it could be a fast trend. Yung mga 45 to 60, yung mga 60 to 90 degree angle. Or mga fast MA. Let's say, MA9, MA20. Ganun. Okay? Pag MA50, mostly, mas maganda yun for swings. Okay? Tapos, ito pa yung idea. Diba, we're talking about shallow pullbacks or strong RSI levels. May exception dito sa shallow pullback. Okay? Especially in terms of the global market. So, ano yung exception ng shallow pullback? Pag ATH and MOH. Okay? If it's an ATH or MOH setup, ATH or MOH setup, okay, the first pullback na shallowness niya sometimes doesn't really matter. Especially in crypto to. Okay, bakit? Kasi what sometimes happens is that na-exaggerate minsan yung major breakout point or nag-fail muna or nagtatrap muna bago siya mag-materialize. So again, this is more applicable sa global markets. Especially in the US din, ganun din ginagawa nila. So ano yung nangyari sa US markets? Okay. So let's say you have an ATH MOH level here na ganyan. Okay. Different variations are possible. Okay. Ano yung mga variation natin dyan? Ibaba ko na lang lower. Let's say ATH MOH is at this level. Okay. Pag ganyan, be welcome to this kinds of variations. Okay. Breakout, siyempre yung swing yan would be higher dito. Sometimes ganyan, retest. Ganyan. Sometimes lower, sa magragi. Okay? Sometimes then, okay? So sa crypto madaming ganito itong gantong itsura. I-break yung all-time high, bababa siya below all-time high, tapos rally niya na after. Okay? Yung iba naman, what happens would be, dito mismo nagko-consolidate. Yan. Sa magragi higher. Okay? So again, when it comes to ATH or MOH scenarios, the very first pullback or retest, di ba? Yung shallowness niya doesn't really matter, especially in terms of the global market. Sa local market, medyo expected mo na dapat tumuloy. Okay? Pero sa global, mas lenient ka dun sa very first retest of the key level. Okay? It doesn't really have to be shallow. Ang mas importante is that what will happen after the ATH MOH break. Okay? So yun yung mas important. the pullback or the consolidation after the pullback doesn't really matter. What matters more would be kung magmamatay siya after. But this swing move here, to move here, to move here, to move here. Yun na mas crucial. Okay. Again, we will see a lot of this one in terms of the global markets. Okay. So kasi sanay tayo minsan sa PC na parang dapat pag nag all-time high or MOH, 23 lang siya or 38 Fibonacci pullback. Sa crypto, sa global markets, US markets, hindi ganun. Sometimes, no, at times, pag hindi masyado malakas yung initial rally, talagang babasagin niya muna yung key level bago siya mag-rally higher. Yan, so tama. Madaming ganyan sa US sa crypto. Okay, so ito muna yung chart conditions. Okay. Next would be ano yung mga triggers that we are looking for. Okay, so again, we talked about 2 different trigger points in terms of swing momentum trading. Okay. So again, ano yung let's just go to a recap na discuss natin sa workshop before. So again, when you're talking about pullback or swing trading, ang key level or nangyayari dun would be mauna yung rally. Okay, so there's a rally first. After which, nagkakaroon ka ng pullback. Diba? Hanggang sa walang pullback, hindi mo masasabi na nagkaroon ng resistance or pivot high. Yeah? Pivot high. Hanggang sa walang nagiging pullback, you won't be able to identify the pivot high. And dito rin tayo nagkakaroon ng idea na we're not buying on support. Bakit? Kasi when we're trying to probe or enter on a swing trade idea, we're trying to enter on a potential pivot level. So potential lang. Potential pivot level na ma-validate pag nagkaroon ka ng next na rally. Okay. So this pivot will only be validated, this pivot low will only be validated by a succeeding rally. Okay. So yun, sabi natin, di ba? You're entering on a pivot candle, potential pivot candle. Pag nagka-rally, you identify it as a pivot low. Okay. So anong hinahanap natin, no? We're looking for yung usual na candles natin, dojis, hammers, engulfing candle. And ang titignan natin na trigger points would also be yung unchanged levels or the break of previous high na candle. So ito usually hinahanap natin, no? Unchanged level or break of previous high candle. Sa K-Room, for their swing trades, for their swing technical setups, mostly break of previous high talaga entry nila. So for us, for our system, yung break of previous high na trigger, that's our conviction trigger or momentum confirmation. Pero most of the time, ako personally, I have an entry dun sa pivot level sa baba, sa lower level. So yung signal nila na ginamit nila sa K-Room, I use it to add on to my trade, yung confirmation na yun. Okay. So, let's talk about what happens, no, in terms of the pivot candle. So, ano ba yung nangyari sa loob ng isang pivot candle? So dito papasok yung sabi natin na maganda pag gets nyo rin yung swings on a downtrend kasi it would help you formulate or read the price action na nangyayari sa potential pivot candle. Okay, so let's go into multi-time frame analysis. Okay, so what happens in a pivot candle? So usually, di ba, mayroon tayong pullback na nangyayari. It could be, let's say, 2-3 days, so on. So again, this is your higher time frame. Diba? On the lower time frame, ano itsura yan? This would be essentially a downtrend. Diba? Next would be, we're waiting for our pivot candle or signal candle. Okay. So ano yung scenarios dyan? So again, we will just be going deeper na-discuss natin sa workshop. No? So ano yung scenarios? Could open flat. Okay. Pag nag-open flat, the idea here would be, pwedeng sa lower time frame, okay, after opening, so parang nag-consolidate siya instead, di ba? After opening, nagkaroon ka ng breakout, okay? Pero, when you break out of this level here on the lower time frame, ano itsura niyan sa higher time frame mo na chart? But this is just a rally here. Diba? Small rally candle lang yan. Okay. Some traders would enter there as their probing na allocation as long as meron silang signal on the lower time frame chart, which is ito, yung micro box break dito. So pwedeng ito yung probe mo. Probing allocation mo. Tapos, most of the time, there is a confluence wherein ito, yung high nito would be, or di ba sabi natin ano yung binabantayan mo? Break of previous high. Yung break of previous high would be the trend shift area as well, or the major trend break sa lower time frame. For example, ito, di ba naglagi na siya higher? Okay. Pagkalagi pa niya higher, ganyan, nag-break siya sa previous level, okay, this could be somehow, yung ganyan din na breakout dito. So at least, dyan mo na ipapasok yung next one allocation if ever. No? Your momentum confirmation or conviction trigger allocation. So parang yun isang setup, di ba? Meron tayo. Ano pa yung mga ibang pwede makita natin na setups? Anong nangyayari? So, mababa. Okay. Now, what happens would be, meron kang gap down. Okay. So pag ganyan, what happens is, most of the time, gumagawa yan ng divergence, okay, on the lower time frame. So ito yung higher time frame mo. Sa lower time frame mo, yan ang gagawa ng divergence. Okay? So, ito, pag ganyan, ito si RSI mo, mag-diverge. Okay? Tapos, once it goes and rallies, diba, to fill the gap, so ito, let's say, nag-gap down here. Okay? Tapos nag-gap fill siya. Yeah. Okay, nag-gap fill siya. Okay? This is already a sign of strength in terms of the lower time frame as well for your potential na probe or initial trigger. Okay. Kasi bakit? Ano yung idea dyan? The idea would be, on the lower time frame, it was able to fill a gap. Pero again, hindi mo pa pinapasok yung ano mo na, yung next allocation mo. It was able to fill a gap na the idea would be, hindi na siya bumalik dun sa lower levels. But then again, bakit di tayo nagko-complete allocation agad-agad? Kasi there are instances wherein, ito for example, di ba nagkaroon ng signal candle here sa higher time frame. Minsan, nagkaroon ka ng candle that would also be breaking the low. So makapakat tayo, di ba? Or, kung hindi man mag-break ng low, nagawa yan ng equal or sideways candle. Pwedeng dito. Ayan, ganyan. Okay. On the lower time frame chart, what happens would be, yan naman gumagawa ng mga double bottom or microbox consolidation. So, nag-high, tapos babalik dyan. Okay. Pag ito guys, ito, pag nagkaroon ka ng trigger candle here, tapos binalik siya ng low, sure na yan na meron pa yung divergence na may AOS signal. Bakit? Kasi, divergences are created dahil nagkaroon ka ng strong rally sa price action. Okay? Just the fact na sa higher time frame mo, nagkaroon ka ng solid candle, it means that on the lower time frame, ito, nagkaroon siya ng move higher trend. Nagigets ba yan, guys, so far? Medyo binabagayan ko So, pag nagkaroon ka ng strong candle here, okay, yan, sa lower time frame, that could be a strong candle din na nag-trend. Which would happen is that pag ito nag-break pa yung low nito, so binasag niya yung low, no? Nung previous na strong candle. Sure yan, almost 90 to 100% of the time, meron yung divergence na AOS na above RSI 30. Kasi nga, hiniga na ng price action to. Okay? Kaya siya gumagawa ng phenomena na minsan, ganun yung sinasadya lang talaga minsan ng price action eh. I-hit niya yung cut point ng mga tao at mag-aragi na higher. Okay? Kasi nga, meron ng usually ano na yun eh, parang triple divergence na yan, quadruple divergence and so on. Okay, may strong divergence na. Minsan, double bottom lang kasi nga hindi na pinapa-breakdown to. Yung to, saka siya mag-lagi. Sobrang common ito sa crypto. Yung isa stop hunt yung low, tapos dahil nga nagkaroon ng signal candle sa higher time frame of the previous, magmamaterialize siya. Minsan, pwede nyo hintayin na lang yun eh. Okay, hintayin nyo na lang na mag-rally higher. Kaya nga, we have what we call a higher swing here. Yan. So nakikita niyo ba't nangyari no? Again, guys, for swing trading, okay, you can check the lower time frame for more accuracy dun sa pivot. Okay. Sige. So, saan tayo? Ayan, yung gap down na scenario. Okay. Now, for gap up scenarios, ganun din yung mangyayari nun. Magkakaroon din ng divergence. Bakit? Okay. So, let's say, meron kang solid na red candles. Okay. Tapos, next would be nag-gap up siya. Ayan, di ba? Gap up. So, ganito yung tsura yan. Okay, it's a downtrend. Tapos, nag-open higher. Okay. Pag ito, so you can add a tranche dyan, no? Pag ito, dito nag-break higher, so let's say ito, what happens would be dapat nag-breakout siya, di ba? Dito, breakout. Okay. Yan, yung breakout yan would be a break of the, ito yung trend shift area here. Okay. Pag hindi nag-break, for sure it would create a divergence. Bakit? Kasi nga, just the fact na nag-gap up siya, hihigayin niya ng RSI. So yung next mo na, pull back lower here in terms of price, would create a divergence RSI. For sure, magkakaroon ng divergence RSI. Okay. Ang point lang would be, is it a strong RSI divergence above RSI 30? So, ganyan na nga dyan. What happens sa pivot candle would be, most of the time, yung setups natin dito sa downtrend swings. Kaya sabi sa inyo, maganda rin matuto ng downtrend swing trades. Para pag tinignan nyo kung ano itsura ng unchanged candles, you would be able to identify saan ba yung magandang trigger or buying signals. Okay, so for example, ano ba yung mga decision trade na unchanged? For example, di ba, yung quote sa SLR. Mag-message kayo dyan, yung mga tinignan na unchanged levels. Just try to understand ano nangyari sa kanila nung nag-pull back sila. $22. Ngayon, for example ito, for SLR, di ba? 21 to 22 yung move niya. So, if you know saan nangyari sa CLR, eto, nag-attempt siya gumawa ng pivot candle. Tama ba, guys? May strong siya na move, di ba? Ito yung sinabi sa inyo, pag nagkaroon ng ganyang strong move on a pivot attempt, gagawa yan ng very strong divergence talaga. So, ito yung, di ba? Ito yung move na yun eh. So, ayan. May markaan ko yan ha. Ayan, di ba? Ito yung high, ito yung high. So, ano ginawa niya sa RSI? Tignan nyo. Nung una, it was zoning downtrend below 30. Tapos nagkaroon ng very strong spike intraday. So yung next niya na down move to hit that spot, that same spot for the unchanged, bantayan niya kasi bakit? Nagkaroon ng strong divergence. Okay. Most of the time, pag nag-attempt siya gumawa ng pivot candles, revisit niya ulit yung same level. Okay, bantayan niyo din yung mga change yan, yung mga break off the level. So, for example, ito, yan, diba? Nag-above na siya. So lower, pero yung RSI niya, strong divergence na, diba? Above 30 eh. So pag ganyan, anong pwede mong bantayan? Okay? Pwede mong bantayan would be, sabi natin diba, ano to? After shifting from a downtrend na swing, this is now a potential swing on a sideways. So, kumbaga ano to, madaming setups na pwedeng yung enter. So, marka mo natin yung range na nakita natin. Okay? So, this could be, di ba, i-double bottom. So, ano yung swing na gusto mong bantayan? Okay? Yung next moves, di ba? So, pwede mong hintay kung mag-run na microbox. So, for example, ito. This one could be your box. Yan. Tapos, itong break and higher low yung babantayan mo. So, this one, if ever, trade mo. Tapos, you can cut na lang pwedeng low or below DB50. Pero, the idea here would be, this is a potential, sabi natin, di ba? You're entering on a potential pivot here, swing, sa higher time frame. Pero sa lower time frame mo, ano itsura niyan? This could be, sabi natin, mga breakout retest or swing confirmation sa lower time frame. So pivot ito, so marka natin para mas makita niyo. Yan. So kita niyo, nagkaroon ng parang blip dun eh. Yan. So it was actually a body break. So ano siya eh, yung previous high na breakout. Yan. Yan. So it's a break of previous high sa body level. sa higher time frame na nung tinrade mo sa lower time frame, it's the first breakout, diba? And confirmation after the consolidation. Ang nangyari dyan would be, yung context of price action would be very huge na range. Gusto mo muna mag-VCP, sa VCP ulit. Baka siya nag-rally higher. Okay. So ito yung pwede mong i-trade if ever na structure. Okay, so if you notice yung RSI niya rin, at a higher level na, no? Within 50s, wala siya near 30s. Meaning, it's a bias wherein pag nag-break to, break din na RSI high, pwede siya mag-continue to an uptrend. Yun yung sabi natin kanina. Diba? When you're trying to trade inside of a range, you should have a bias na pwede siya mag-break ng high. So yun yung kwento ng unchanged CLR. Ano pa mga na-trade nyo lately na unchanged, guys? Let's just go into the intraday niya, if ever. Kaya ba masyado? XTZ. Yeah, change yung XTZ. Okay. Ayan, sige. So for example, yung pivot na itong XTZ here, 23. Ayan, okay, sige. So for example, for this one, if you notice what happens here. Okay. Yung unchanged level ni XTZ is ito. Yan. Tapos break of previous high would be at these levels. So pasok na pasok sa discussion natin kanina. Yung break of previous high niya, if you notice yung drawing natin kanina, di ba? Would most of the time be, nandun sa isang drawing, the trend shift area. Di ba? So ito yung levels natin sa XTC, break of previous high or unchanged levels pivots. Okay? So anong kwento dito? So there was a downtrend move. Sabi natin, di ba? Pag mayroon kang long red candles, downtrend muna yan. Tapos anong ginawa niya? Nagkaroon ka ng divergence. So if you notice, go below 30, go below 30, go above 30. Okay. So pag ganyan, pag nagkakaroon ng divergence, bantayan nyo na if ever yung, pwede dyan kayo mag-probe no? Yung signals below. So ano yung nangyayari dyan sa RSI or sa price action? So let's build them one by one na. So this one would be your trend shift area. And pasok na sa sabi kayo, di ba? Your trend shift area would most of the time be in confluence with the break of previous high levels. Tandaan nyo? Tapos, anong sabi natin? You would want to see how the swing interacts at this level. Okay? Pwede mo hintayin yung higher swing or kung aggressive ka, dito ka mag-probe sa baba. So, ano yung mga mahinang swing there? So, this would be a sample of weak swings. Diba? Swing here. If you notice, ano nangyari sa kanya? Mahina yung rally, tapos bumalik pa. Ito rin, weak swing din. Diba? Kasi bakit? It's below the trend shift area. So, pwede ka mag-probe dito kung very aggressive ka sa trader. Otherwise, saan ang pwede mo maging swing? Okay? You would want to take swings dun sa normal swing or higher than the trend shift na swing. Diba? So, if you notice, saan ang normal swing dyan? So, ito yung weak swings here at these levels. Ito yung normal swing mo. Ito yung stronger swing mo at this level. Okay. So after, if you notice iba-iba din RSI niya, yung weak swing, it's an RSI na 50, below 50. Diba? Yung strong swing mo, it's above 50. Ay, yung normal swing mo above 50, yung strong swing mo within 70. So dito yung nakita yung correlation ng RSI zoning as well. Yung sa strength ng swing on a reversal or a downtrend. So after nun, if you notice then, na-trade mo agad ito, diba? Nag-rally na siya higher, stronger. Ito yung sample ng sabi natin na pag may nagkaroon ka ng bagsak, tapos wide swings, tapos VCP pa unti-unti. So yung breakout ito, kaya mabilis after this one. This move here from this one to this one. is that kinain niya yung volatility area here. Ito, itong binagsak niya na ito. Yan. So yun, nag-same lang siya ng move. Yan, dito. Kaya siya nauntog after. Pero tumagin din naman after. Yan. Okay. Okay. So again, yung idea for your dojis, hammers, na pivot point, na swing point, okay? The unchanged level or the break of previous high, if you want to trade it on a lower time frame, especially for some crypto coins, no, or global stocks wherein you want to look at the lower time frame, maganda na marunong din kayo magbasa ng price action for downtrend swings as well as range swings para makapag-timing kayo na entry for it. Okay? So, other trigger points would be mga recovery of a key level after retests, mga bear traps or swing trigger patterns where there is buying at a potential level of support. Okay? So, ito in consequence ito with guys, yung end of day natin na webinar. Okay? Sometimes, what happens would be, di ba nagkaroon ng rally isang stock, tapos nag-pull back siya. Okay? If there's a key level, yan, na violate, so bumaba siya below, especially intraday. Tapos, at end of day, it recovers above the level, diba, nag-close siya higher, let's say dyan. Okay. Yung mga ganyan are also very, very good signals, especially kung sobrang haba din ng mga lower wick. The longer the lower wick is, the stronger the rejection is. Okay? Pag meron kang key level, okay, so again, it doesn't matter, no? Kung gaano kalalim, kung gaano ka-strong yung binasag. If it recovers there above the key level, at end of day, whether it's a daily chart dun sa mga stocks mo or it's sa crypto, the next day, nag-recover siya above it, that's a very, very good sign of a possible swing pivot point. Okay? Yung cut mo dyan usually would be at the low in validation. So usually ganito okay? Or, yun yung kagandahan. If you're trading it at the lower time frame, if you're trying to trade the pivot point at the lower time frame, you can have a different cut point na mas maganda in terms of risk-reward ratio. Bali sir, in high time frame, parang buy on low, support siya. Pero if you zoom in sa lower time frame, it's actually a bull div US entry. Tapos add na lang ng stock sa lower time frame like DCP, Microbox, higher lows. Actually, yung execution natin sa kanya van, ganun pa rin naman. Mostly swings and momentum entries. So hindi pa rin siya buy on support. Kasi diba, let's say nag-earn ka ng bull div. You don't buy naman this, wait, sorry. Diba? When let's say nag-earn ka ng lower low, bull div, kasi ito yung naging bull div, hindi ka mabibigay dito Or pag earn ka ng bottom, you don't buy here. We're essentially trading pa rin yung swing or momentum after the bull div or after the double bottom. Okay? We're just trying to understand kasi nga, it's a component of the pullback. Kasi nga, lahat ng swing trades mo nagsisimula siya sa pullback. Diba? So, for sure, pag yung pullback na yun, dinildan mo on a lower time frame, it's a downtrend. Diba? So, may advantage kayo in terms of timing your entries ng pivots mo pag mayroon ka magbasa ng downtrend ng price action din. Parang, yung downtrend, dumihina na, nagkaka-BCP na, baka malapit na ito magkaroon ng pivot. What if I wait for the pivot, tapos din ako, ito yung, drawing ko na yung unchanged. But drawing yung unchanged muna. Tapos, nag-next day na-observe na yung price action ito yung ginawa ng price action after. Tapos ito yung respect niya sa unchanged level ko. Ito yung ginawa niya dun sa previous day high. So, iba na yung base niya sa price action and how you would enter the pivot. Diba? Additionally kasi, may advantage pa yun which we'll talk about later. The advantage is that pwede kayong mag-complete ng allocation nyo. You can enter ng isang probing na allocation at isang conviction trigger na on the lower time frame. Para tapos mo na yung allocation mo sa higher time frame na swing pivot. Nag-gets ba yun, guys? So for example, kasi ito di ba we have two triggers. We have two triggers. We have a trigger na pang probing lang, pang test buy lang. Okay? And we have one for conviction or kumbaga yung follow-up, 'di ba? Yung next mo na troops, 'di ba? Next volume mo. Okay? Most of the time pag sa daily, ano nangyayari diyan? 'Di ba? Pwedeng yung nangyari would be swing, yung isang T1 mo, tapos breakout, isang T2 mo. Diba? So that's a sample of a proven conviction na add up. Pero, there can be sometimes wherein, dun sa, dito, sa T1 mo, mayroon ka ng dalawang entries agad dyan. Mayroon ka na ng probing sa conviction mo. Pero, na-manage mo pa rin yung risk mo. Kung baka hindi mo siya binagsak ng isang bilihan pa rin. Kasi nga, you were able to read how price action matters or materializes in the lower time frame here. Nagawa mo ng entries na ganoon pa rin, swing in momentum pa rin inside the probing trigger mo. Pero na-diversify pa rin yung risk mo. Let's say, di ba, kunyari, nagpo-probe ka pa lang dito, tapos parang T1.1, parang yung idea. T1.1 ka. Di ba, nag-downtrend siya, tapos nag-higher swing, nag-T1.1 ka here, tapos nag-fail. Di ba? Bumagsak. At least yung cut mo maliit lang. Pero what if, di ba, nag-breakout siya? Tapos nag-isa pa dyan, di ba, nag-T1.2 ka na. Tapos nag-materialize siya. Doon pa lang sa pivot candle mo sa higher time frame, tapos ka na allocation mo. Di ba? Tapos ma-ride mo na yung trend niyan safely. Pero hindi mo na ginawa yung parang gagawa ng ibang traders na isang bagsakan lang agad doon sa pivot or test buy. Clear ba yan, guys? Yung ito yung sinabi natin about yung dynamics or flexibility ng swing momentum traders. For PSE, wherein usually 3 minutes ay nag-intraday, and so for PSE hindi siya masyadong big factor, especially if yung, so di ba sabi natin, it's more or less dahil kasi, ba't tayo nagkakaroon ng trade idea for this one sa lower time frame? Kasi nga, yung pullback natin, pwedeng malaki yan in terms of volatility. Sa PSE, yung pullbacks natin, baka mahina yung percentage niya. Kaya hindi ganun ka-applicable yung ginagawa natin discussion for today. Sa PSE, pwedeng gawin mo na lang would be, i-trade mo na lang agad yung, what do you call this, yung unchanged levels, normally lang, daily lang. Diba? So, ang gagawa ko sa PSE would be, yung swing, ganyan, ito yung probe ko, ito yung conviction ko. Yung gagawin natin na normal, na higher time frame trades. Ito, yan, this is what I do with PSE. Pero let's say for crypto, for global markets, na mas kailangan mo magkaroon ng accurate entries, kasi nga bakit ang volatile niya eh. So, gusto mo i-maximize, diba, yung percentages ng gains mo eh. Para pag kinompound mo or hinode mo, at least malaki. Okay? Usually, pwede kayo maghanap ng lower time frame na confluence signals. For crypto, usually I use H4, H1, M15, Boss Gian, or H1, M15, M3. Pwedeng H1 yung titingin mo as mamaramas key levels mo, M15, downtrend, tapos M3 hanap ka ng mga swing momentum trades. Pwedeng ganun. Yun yung pinaka-lower time frame na ginagamit ko. Pero kaya gusto ko mas relax, pwedeng H4 yung key levels, H1 downtrend, tapos M15 yung swing momentum entries. So yun yung usually ginagawa ko. 3 time frames. Ayan. So, yung allocation natin, guys, babalik pa rin tayo dun sa discussion natin on yung macro micro. Diba? So, for example, it's a good market. Diba? So, let's say it's a strong market. Pag malakas yung market, usually, kahit sa probing mo, mag-ano ka na eh. Let's say, 25% allocation. Diba? Tapos sa conviction mo, mag 25% ka ulit. At least 50% in ka na pag materials yung trade mo. Okay? Pero pag let's say it's a bad market, yung probing mo usually would be half lang, mga 12.5%. Tapos makakapag-complete allocation ka dun sa next mo na allocation. Sa next entry mo. But the idea here would be, it's up to you naman eh. It would depend on your read for the market, your, what do we call this, yung, kumbaga kung hindi talaga yung market na magakas ka mag-trade, as well as yung setups mo. Diba? If you really know how to trade those setups, you can increase mo na allocation. Pero again, the key here is that either equal or less yung allocation mo. Para yung AEP yung mahalagaan mo. Yes, correct. Sir, basically, ang trade idea sa higher time frame ay swing. So, nag-enter sa pivot. Pero sa lower time frame, it's a combination of our swing momentum entries na. Pero mag-enter on the breakout, retest of the break, or swing. Especially if there's a confluence sa unchanged level as well as the break of previous high level na kumbaga may higher confidence ka pa in terms of TA sa pagkakaroon ng trend shift area. So yun yung pinakamaganda. Pag lahat yun ang confluence, madali siya i-trade. Sometimes kasi walang binibigay na VCP. So again, we have to be very dynamic about it. Hindi rin lahat nagkakaroon ng divergence, hindi rin nagkakaroon ng VCP. I'll give you a sample. Kunyari, so nag-downtrend siya, di ba? So pag nag-downtrend, ang gagawin nyo doon would be trend shift area. So let's say, meron kang ganyan, pullback candles ulit. Tapos, after nyan, nagalagay na higher. Ganyan. Okay? Pwedeng downtrend yan. Tapos, next yan would be uptrend agad. May ganyan din ng mga stocks or mga tokens. So pag ganyan, just try to time the entries. Kung hindi mo man matake yung, let's say, ito yung unchanged niya. Diba? Yung unchanged niya would be higher low pivot. Pwedeng ganun. Diba? Try mo mga i-trade yung intraday niya na charts. Diba? Itong trend shift area dito. Diyan ka lang umikot-ikot. Lumukha yung confluence sa higher time frame. Pero for sure, there will be confluences dyan. Yung pivot area, tapos trend shift area. May confluences yan. For sure. In terms of either, kasi nga hindi mo pwede masyadong ibahin yung allocation mo for the next tranche. Bakit? Kasi yung average mo ng new AP would be more or less hindi siya technically valid in terms of cutting. Mahirapan ka. Parang ang nangyari doon would be, the idea is chinase mo lang yung ibang trade. Diba? Kasi nga, yung AP mo, sige, i-demo lang natin yan. For example, diba, we talked about, let's say, swing momentum, ganyan. Okay. Ito, if you have an entry here, as well as here, pag ito, equal in terms of shares or value, ano lang naman, very minor lang magiging difference yan. Okay? Your AP will be somewhere here. Diba? Your AP will be somewhere here. Wherein, it's a technically valid AP for your scenarios. Diba? Pag nagkaroon ka ng scenarios on, let's say, retest. Okay? Or lower, at least ang minimum mo na pwedeng scenario would be break even trade, scratch trade ka. Whatever. So, try to plan this out. Simulate mo. When you're doing backtesting, try to simulate, dito ako mag-enter ng probing, dito ako mag-enter ng, what do you call this, yung conviction allocation ko. Look at where your next AP would be. Ayan, so sabi niya, the same amount of shares. Okay? Sige. So, yun na naman. So again, the key here would be, yung dynamics ng swing momentum is that it allows you for better AP management, risk management, as well as position sizing. Dahil you have two conviction trigger, you have two triggers. Diba? One wherein you will do a test buy on your signal. Hindi siya test buy na parang bulag ka rin, hindi mo kung saan mag-test buy. And you also have a conviction trigger for momentum confirmation. Now, hindi rin lahat guys ng trades pwede mong dagdagan ng allocation for a momentum trade. Gagawin na on a higher time frame. Kasi bakit? Pwede yung higher time frame mo is meant for selling. Diba? So what do I mean by this? Kaya marunong din kayo mag-finish allocation nyo let's say sa lower time frame. For example, it's a big range lang. Yan, diba? Meron kang resistance, meron kang support. Okay. So what if this was meant to be sold, yung level here, diba? For selling yung plan mo. Okay? So meaning, after let's say, consolidate, higher low dyan, okay, hindi ka dapat mag-a-add dyan. Okay? It's not meant to be done as an added trigger point. Diba? You should also, parang hindi mo pwedeng gawin niya T1 tapos T2 dyan. Kasi bakit? Your goal mo would be instead to sell here. So yung T1 mo, dyan papasok yung sabi natin na you can finish your allocation na mayroon ka ng T1.1 saka T1.2. Parang ganyan idea. Okay? So not all levels are meant to be bought as a momentum trigger. Kailangan, so dito papasok yung mastery mo pa rin ng context ng momentum. So you would want to review yung webinar natin on momentum trading. Diba? We discussed there, ano ba yung magandang i-trade na momentum or breakouts. Not all breakouts should be traded as momentum triggers. So dito yung makikita na parang if you're an aspiring swing momentum trader, para nga magkaroon ka ng conviction or idea when to scale up, dapat marunong ka rin talaga mag-identify ng momentum triggers properly. So kaya may master ka pala ng momentum trading. So it's an evolution or higher level of what you're doing if you're a momentum trader. Yan. So actually ito, medyo nag-advance tayo, pero ito yung discuss ko kanina. Yung price action trading naman on swing momentum. Okay, so ito yung deeper level of price action trading, di ba? Sanay tayo na tumingin ng price action trading dun sa daily chart. Ito yung discuss sa workshop. For today, what we did was we looked at swing momentum trading confluences on the lower and higher time frame. Okay. So pag meron kang swing pivot point on a higher time frame, sa lower time frame meron kang either momentum and or a swing confirmation entry. Tapos, ito yung sabi kanina, yung succeeding tranche mo for your conviction trigger can also happen within your initial probing trigger on the lower time frame. So, hindi lahat ng succeeding tranche kailangan nasa malayong level. Sometimes, dun pa lang sa probing trigger mo, if you're doing lower time frame trading, pwede mo nang gawin yung 2 allocations mo. 1 probe and 1 trigger. Okay? Questions, guys, so far? Pero basically, yun yung bulk ng discussion natin today for price action trading ng swing momentum. May questions kayo for that? Or may kayong gustong tingnan na chart para maan natin, ma-walk through natin. Sa MH or ATH, do you also take into account yung base count or kung gaano kaya sa initial base yung swing momentum entry na gagawin when it comes to planning your selling? Kasi na-mention mo kayo yung initial base. For me, no. Toga ka? Is it an all-time high MOH na talagang fresh break? Yun ba yun? Kasi meron, di ba parang new all-time high, meaning nag-uptrend siya, tapos nag-break na siya MOH, tapos new MOH na nangyari. Parang ganito ba? Wait, gawin ko lang. Are you talking about yung ganito na sigang consolidation, MYH, ATH, tapos nag-break out, tapos parang ganyan? Ito ba idea na sinasabi mo? No, kada breakout yan, new all-time high. Yun, sige. So for this one, for me, I talk about this sa Discord eh. For me, personally lang, these are not all-time high setups yung succeeding. These are breakouts or other momentum setups happening on all-time high conditions. Diba? So again, yung succeeding breakouts, for me personally lang, those are not all-time high breakout setups. Okay? Pag meron na siyang succeeding rallies, those are pwedeng CH setups, swing setups, microbox breakouts, or normal Darvas breakouts happening on all-time high conditions. Okay? For me, kasi bakit? Iba yung market psychology na to. The market psychology of succeeding all-time high breaks is different na. Diba? Lalo in terms of, let's say, wave counting sa Elliott. Kasi bakit? Meron ka nang nangyaring rally eh. Diba? The market has already expended money to push it higher on different levels. Okay? So, yung sinasabi ko kanina na wala akong pake dun sa lalim or level ng pullback would be the first major breakout. Ito. So, it's really tama ka. Yung parang first base ever. So, if it's after a long consolidation, diba, it's a base for the succeeding rally, succeeding attempt. Yung pullback nito, doesn't really matter kung mayagim yan. As long as it's the first retest or pullback. Clear ba yan, Gak? So yes, I think it into count.
Okay, sir. Kasi yung what I meant to say, sir, was yung kumbaga hindi mo nasakyan yung initial swing from the MIH or ATH breakout.
Ito.
Kumbaga doon ka na sa marami nang nagawang higher lows from the initial breakout. Kumbaga, kunwari, nasa middle of the move ka na, do you parang look to sell on strength na lang instead of looking to TF? pa kasi nga parang late to the party.
Sige. So in terms of selling objective, I would take it sa paano pa rin, dynamic approach, wherein I would have a tranche to sell it on possible momentum, and then meron ka ng tranche na trail stop. Ganun pa rin. I would still stick to that style. Ang kaibahan na lang dito would be yung succeeding rallies, itong mga to, di ba, nagkaroon na ng breakout or nagkaroon ng first retest. Yung succeeding rallies, dapat yan na, hindi na yan malagim yung pullback. So yun ang kaibahan. Yung first retest, if you were to trade it, okay lang yun na medyo malagim yung pullback as long as it respects this level and what happens after yung more important, di ba? Kung magkaroon siya ng break and the rally above. Kasi minsan din nga yun ng undercut eh. Nag-undercut muna siya sa major level tapos mag-rally higher. Pero once it rallies higher, yung succeeding niyan, yung mga pullback na yan, dapat yun pasok sa 23 to 38 Fib. As well as RSI na malakas. Yung succeeding na rallies. Sige. And sir, for some entries, especially on lower time frame, paano pwede ma-separate yung idea ng crossfire zone entries compared sa swing within sideways na entry? Sige. So, ang pinakamagandang differentiator dyan, Bon, would be kung ano itsura ng HTF mo. So, yun yung sagot dyan. Diba? The reason why we will be confused for lower time frame trades is that we don't take into context ano ba itsura niya sa higher time frame. Okay? So, for example, kaya siya magiging weak trade idea sa LTF is pwedeng yung HTF mo is already a weak idea. Let's say yung higher time frame mo is a range trade or a downtrend. So, pangit pag ganun. Pero if your higher time frame idea is really a bullish pullback, so kaya nga ganun din. Not all swing trades are meant to be traded, di ba? Not all swing within a downtrend, not all swing within a range. So kaya nga, if you're trading it, say, a downtrend na swing, dapat itong itsura nito sa higher time frame, so pwedeng ito yung M50 mo, di ba? This is, for example, ganyan niya. So, pagpunta mo sa si daily, this one is on a major level ng MYH, for example. Nagets ba yun, Bon? Pag crossfire or pangit talaga yung higher time frame mo, madadamay si lower time frame. The only reason why you want to trade or take LTF ideas is that in the bigger picture nga, there's a better move na mangyayari. Kasi pag crossfire HTF mo, for sure, lalong crossfire yung LTF mo. Okay? We're just using the LTF as a timing as well as a risk and trade management na methodology. Para nga, if you want to trade the pivot on a better execution, gagamit ka na lang ng lower time frame execution. Difference in watch listing. For me, same siya ng watch listing. The difference is in the entry. Kasi nangyari would be, you're looking at the same strong stocks eh, di ba? Ang kaiba lang would be, sina momentum traders, they're just waiting for triggers on breakouts. Tayo, as swing momentum traders, we have an option to probe nga or enter at yun, yung asymmetrical RR, di ba? Yung parang ang ganda ng cut mo, pag nag-enter ka sa isang, let's say, microbox break sa baba. Pero sa totoo, sa daily chart nun, ano pa lang yun? Pivot pa lang siya eh. Kasi ganun na eh. For example, yung ibang traders, naghihintay sila ng breakout sa H4, H1. Pwedeng matagal na yun, di ba? So they're waiting for a VCP on, let's say, the M15 or M3. Sa taas sila maghanap ng VCP. Pero for us, pwedeng yung H4, H1 mo, duma-downtrend, tapos meron kang pivot, isang pivot lang na candle sa H1 mo. Pero sa M15, nakatapos ka na, or M3, nakatapos ka na allocation mo. Gets ba yan? Yung kaibahan. So, drawing ko lang. Parang nangyari doon would be, let's say, ba parang si momentum trader. Okay. Tapos nag-scan siya, minahanap siya ng stock, tapos nagtutrade siya eh. H1 niya, nagpo-pullback. Ganun din, same key level din. MYH, ATH. Okay. Tapos, so another thing would be, actually iba sa kanila na monitor this, hindi nila alam na parang swing trader na din sige. Baka di nila sure na parang nagsiswing na din sige on a higher time frame. So for example, nagkaroon ka ng pivot dyan, di ba? Pivot candle. Okay? Baka yung iba kasi na momentum traders, they would be waiting for the breakout here. Diba? So, isipin nyo na each one to They're waiting for the breakout here. So, pag lower time frame nila, pwedeng each one nila would be, pwedeng nag-uptrend. Tapos dito magkakaroon ng microbox. So, this would be set up of, diba? Of pure momentum traders to. Pure momentum traders Kasi bakit? They're waiting for a breakout candle sa H1, tapos tinatimingan nila yung breakout sa lower time frame. Pwedeng ganun sila pag pure momentum. Tayo, we're looking at the same levels din. Pero, we're entering a pivot candle. The pivot candle yung papasukin natin Where this pivot candle here can have elements of swing momentum. So baka yung iba din ng momentum traders, di nila alam na nag-enter din sila sa swing candle. Parang ganun di ba? They might not know lang. Pero if let's say you enter on a breakout of the M15, M3, baka yun yung breakout na let's say breaking the high of the previous candle. Parang ganun. So it's really a combination of different elements. Pero for watch listing, same lang. It's more or less how you would trade it, as well as how you would allocate on it, as well as how you would manage your risk on it. Ang maganda dito would be, kasi naiwang ka niyan, hindi mo na trade ng pivot, marunong ka rin mag-trade ng momentum naman. So, di ba, we were discussing about higher time frame pivot, lower time frame divergence. Di ba? Ito yung kaibahan naman ng swing momentum din. So, swing momentum, it's a higher time frame mo naman, hindi pivot. Higher time frame mo is breakout. So, ano tsura niyan? Pwedeng kunwari. Yan, di ba? Higher time frame breakout. So, nag-breakout siya. Sa lower time frame mo naman, it's also a possible swing momentum. This one, sa swing momentum mo would be your uptrend naman na discussion natin kanina. Tapos, ito, anong pwede mo trade dyan? This could be your breakout, T1. Tapos ito, pag nag-pull back to here, so grabe higher, diba? Pwede dyan yung T2 mo. Parang ganyan. How do you consider divergences higher time frame like dig in H4? Economics AXS shows divergences in the daily charts per pullback. May indication po ba na next swing or pullback is weaker? Sige. So for divergences, again, it's the same for me as yung discussion natin kanina on downtrend divergences. You have to check pa rin yung price action of what's happening in price action. Kasi pwedeng nangyari dyan would be, sige, let's look at AXS chart. Hanap tayo ng higher time frame na swing momentum. Kasi lakas sige. Thanks, Mac. So, for example, dito na lang yung mga breakouts kasi ni AXS, for example, this one, sa higher time frame din kasi, it's above 70. And as we've discussed, pag above 70, more or less, you can just ignore or be cautious about it and wait for price action to validate na nag-breakdown siya. Pero let's say, ito, yung strong divergence here, sa 29, saka sa September 4. Okay, so how do we manage it? August 29. Grabe, mga pump lang Ang bilis yan ng rally. Yeah, for example, this one. So, ito, di ba? In a divergence. Okay. When a divergence happens, you want it to break down of price action. So, ito. So, let's say ito yung sideways kasi itong AXS this time. Okay. So, nag-rally siya. Nag-break siya higher dito. At this level. Creating a divergence. But if you notice, sa lower time frame niya, ano siya? It's still above 70. So again, cautious ka lang for possible selling. Diba? Now ito yung next na swing high. Ano nga sa kanya? It's now below 70. So pag ganyan, that's a possible sign na mayroon ng alang strong divergence na pwede siya mag-sell off. Wherein yun yung nangyari. No? Nagkaroon siya ng sell off after. So, dito. So, gawin mo dyan would be, ingat ka lang. Pwedeng you can choose to not take the trade anymore. Kasi nga, nagkakaroon ka na ng confidence to divergence on the higher time frame as well as the lower time frame. Tapos, yung price action mo is going on a downtrend na. So, when you invalidate it, pag nagkaroon ka ng next move or breakout, diba? So, what would happen here would be, so nag-microbox, kasi markahan mo si excess dito. So, ito, no swings dito. Bakit? It's a sideways, di ba? Pag sideways, you would want to wait for VCPs na maganda. So, for example, ito, wala siyang ginawang VCP na maganda masyado eh. These are VCPs below MAs. Wala siyang VCP na ginawa above eh, or near. So, mabiglaan lang, binigyan niya yung price action. So, ako personally, I wouldn't have been able to trade this one. Unless, as swing as a swing trader, walang trade dyan. So, kung may man trade dyan would be momentum. So, kung nag-break out, ano gagawin mo dyan? Pwede mo i-trade dyan, H1 kasi ito, di ba? You can trade it on M15, M3. So, let's look at M15 or M3. Kasi, andun yung trade idea eh. September 4. Baka M3 pa ito eh. Okay. Just message me your questions there. If you have any questions. Baka nga frame rate to. So Zoom mismo yung settings. Pakita ko mamaya. Kung di ako naka-share screen niya, mabilis eh. Ayan, so actually sa kahit sa F15, wala masyado eh. Ayan, so for example ito. So NM15, may trade idea ba? Meron naman. Ito, yung stop and go niya dito. Break of 70. Okay, pause, breakout. So ito yung trade natin if ever. M15. Kasi dito magsisimula yung divergence. Okay, so high, high, lower, high, double top. So, for example, you would want a confluence eh. Di ba sabi natin, hanap ka ng confluence sa higher time frame and lower time frame. So what happened here would be, diverging ka na below 70 sa each sa daily. Tapos ito rin, more or less meron kang double top na bear div below 70. 69 RSI here. Okay? So pag ganyan, ingat ka na. Di ba? You can wait for price action to give you a sell signal. Pwedeng gawin dyan would be, pwedeng ito yung isa mong sell. And the other sell mo would have been here. Kung pure TS ka. Dito yung isa mong tail stop. Which actually were very good signals after. Ayun guys, yung binigyan natin concept kanina. Di ba we're buying it on breakouts. For example, this was the weak swing kasi ito, trend shift eh. Di ba? This was the trend shift if ever, the swing. Ito binigyan natin eh, yung concept. Ito, paano ba yung invert? Out ay, di ba? Hindi tayo mag-invert. Anyway. So, parang ganyan. Imagine nyo ito, pag na-invert to, it was the same na parang nagkaroon siya ng strong move down, tapos nagkaroon ng divergence, di ba? Tapos nag-breakout. You would see the breakout here. Ito yung first higher low swing if ever. Ano ba na-invert? Bakit ay invert? Ayan. So, kita nyo. Same na same, yung discussion natin kanina. Nagkaroon ng divergence. Tapos, ito yung weak swing. Di ba? Ano yung strong swing? Ito. Yung above trend shift. Di ba? Kita nyo to. Ito yung trend shift eh. Strong swing. Tapos nag-up na dyan after. So, yun lang. It's really the same concept. You would look for alignments ng higher time frame and lower time frame. Tapos, validated with price action. So, for this one, breakdowns. Kaya na breakouts. Kasi nga, long. Okay. So, gets yun na? So, usually kasi, if you rely on a single time frame for divergences, pwede ka rin magkaroon ng false signals or multiple divergences. Maganda, hanap kayo ng confluence for usually 2 time frames, more or less. But then again, not all the time na may divergence, guys, ha? So price action is king pa rin. As long as you know na, okay, this is my stop for a downtrend and this is my stop or breakout for an uptrend, diba? This will be my trigger points. Bantayan mo lang if may divergence or what. Questions pa on price action trading? Sa ano kasi, again, sa PSE, for me, what I'm doing is yung swing momentum trades ko, nasa daily lang lahat ng trigger point, diba? Pivot point, pati yung conviction na add-on allocation. When do I just use 3 minutes? The same rules that we have for seeking place and bounce place. Kasi bakit? Ganyan idea nun. For example, itong discuss natin today, you can use it actually for bounce place. Same concept lang yun, unchanged, sa pivot or break of previous high for the bounce place. Kasi bakit? Yung volatility ng pababa, more or less, there will be enough data for the LTF trade kasi more than 15% in volatility. So again, for PSE, for me, my HTF, LTF, more or less, purely daily lang tayo unless there is volatility on the daily chart na pwede mong gamitan ng 3 minutes time frame. Okay. Mas discuss ko ngayon to para lang mag-gets nyo ano ba yung nangyari sa loob ng isang pivot candle and how do we really allocate or do tranching. Kasi yung iba, they were asking, sir, paano pag wala ng next entry level, di ba? Kasi nga may misconception na kailangan ba yung second tranche ko magayo. Sometimes you can do the second tranche on a single candle lang, pero kaya mo siyang i-analyze on the lower time frame in tranching mo for it. So ganun din, meron ka pa rin initial buy. Pag nag-fail yung initial buy mo, at least, di ba? Hindi ka naman nakakat ng full allocation. Especially if you get say you do break even or comms loss lang, sobrang liit lang nung natalo mo. Kasi nga, it's your initial buy lang naman. Okay? Sige. Next would be yung, ito lang. Just a few final reminders lang if you're an aspiring swing momentum trader. So first of all, would be sabi natin, not all pullbacks are the same. So really master the context of the pullback. Diba? Is it a breather or a pause of momentum? So ito yung discuss kanina, doon sa tanong ni Von. Okay? The best trades, no, for swing and pullback would be really those na meron kang bigger picture trades. Diba? Talaga nagbebenta lang ba sila pupunta ng support level? Kasi magkaiba eh. There are profit taking on let's say resistances or on the bearish market versus mga tao na napapabenta kasi nagpo-pullback lang siya after a rally pero they're actually selling into support. Meaning, madaming gusto bumili ng binibenta na shares. And why are they buying those shares? Kasi nga, diba, bigger picture, they're just breathers or pullbacks or positive momentum or the very first pullback of a major breakout. Diba? Nagkakaroon ng change of hands. Usually, ang tawag ng change of hands would be from weak hands to strong hands. Pag nagkakaroon ka ng major break, diba, yung mga bumibili agad-agad at nagbebenta agad-agad, it shifts hands dun sa mga stronger hands kasi bakit? It's a major break na gusto nilang i-hold for a possible 10 follow trade or a major trade. Diba? Kasi ito sabi natin kanina as well, know which momentum entry should be scaled into. Diba? Hindi lahat ng momentum entries kailangan mo dagdagan allocation doon. Some are meant to be sold while some are meant to be found on the lower time frame. Okay? Always know what is your bigger objective for your swing momentum trade. Tapos, ito pa, double-edged sword kasi ang magiging swing momentum. Bakit? Napakadami mong pwedeng entry level. Diba? You're filled with trade ideas. Okay? So, how do you manage it? Kailangan lang, calm ka at critical. Calm meaning, never ever feel FOMO as a swing momentum trader kasi nga, you have such a diverse weapon in your arsenal for entries. Diba? Hindi ka talaga maiwanan eh. Pwede ka mag-LTF, HTF trade whether on a pivot or on a breakout conviction mode na trigger. Tapos pwede mo i-mix and match na lang yun. Okay? Always know your trigger signals. Okay? Huwag ka ma-FOMO. Kaya critical ka, saan ba tayo yung entries. Pero kayo makalang. Kasi nga, you have an abundance of entries. Tapos ito pa, the best thing about, for me, about being swing momentum trader is that wala ka masyadong pressure in terms of execution. Kasi nga, ang dami mong pwedeng entry levels. At the same time, hindi ikaw yung type of trader na kailangan ibagsak mo agad allocation mo sa isang pasok ka. Some traders actually, magaling sila mag-technicals, but they fail on the application part. Bakit? Kasi nga emotions are heightened. And one of the major heightened na emotions is based on allocation. Napansin niyo ba yun, guys? Parang alam niyo yung technicals, alam niyo paano mag-execute, pero when it comes to allocating na, doon na kayo na-heighten emotions niyo and therefore, nahihirapan kayo mag-trade. Di ba? So for me, yung maganda about swing momentum trades is that you can look at it as a mastery of, let's say, individual planches na kinocompound mo na lang into coming up with a bigger allocation for your entire trade. Di ba? Parang makapag-practice kayo ng yung umaga multiple punches, diba, for a single setup. Diba? Parang ganun yung idea. Diba? Kaya lang, hindi mo kaya i-subject yung sarili mo with, in terms of emotional allocation. Kasi ganun na nga sa akin. Diba sabi ko sa inyo, I was trained under momentum traders na nagko-conviction allocation. Okay? It just so happens siguro na hindi talaga siya pasok na profile ko. Kasi some of my peers, pasok sa profile nila. Like for example, si Boss Alpha. He's really a conviction trader. Kaya niya magbagsak at say 2M agad isang bilihan. Parang ganyan style niya, ganyan profile niya. So what happens would be, even if I know how to trade that way, since hindi siya in sync with my personal risk profile, yung parang isang minute mo lang, agad allocation, I was having difficulty managing my emotions. And therefore, nagsasuffer yung trade execution ko. So when I switched to a style wherein hindi ako kailangan mag-isang bagsakan allocation o mag-isang bigihan, kasi ganun talaga sige, di ba? Parang, ito malaking trade, tapos pasok. Okay? Ang nangyari would be, I enjoyed my process for mastery. Parang for example, doon ko nga rin na-unlock yung higher portfolio execution eh. For example, let's say, pag pinilit ko yung sarili ko na, let's say, I want to manage, let's say, a trade at 5M. Pag dati yung style ko, kailangan isang bagsak ko ito 5M. Pero dahil natuto ko na parang pwede kong i-scrunching, parang na would be, okay, start ako with 50K, 50K. So naging 100 na, 100, 100, 200 na, 200, 200, 400, so on. So parang mas madali for me in terms of financial thermostat in the way that I grew as a trader. Hinati ko kasi yung risk ko in terms of launching. So even if I was able to trade a larger size, yung amounts niya started really from small. Tapos dahan-dahan ko na yun siyang parang kino-compound via execution. So yun yung sa akin na naging advantage really. Yung parang in terms of mastery on allocation, mas nalagaan ako. Kasi hindi ko kailangan ibagsak na isang beses yung allocation yun. Okay? Sige. Any questions guys before we end our webinar for umabot din tayo ng 2 hours? Questions. Sige. So, again, ito medyo complicated siya kasi we're digging in deeper. Parang ang nangyayari would be parang siya eh, swing trading masterclass in terms of HF, LTF eh. Diba? More of na deep dive tayo in terms of how price action structures are formed. Kasi nga, daw, nakita yung mga may double wicks, double bottom, or yung sideways na na mga candlesticks. Pero in the lower time frame, makikita nyo na those are actually setups na swing momentum din naman. Okay? Sige. So if you have any questions, ask away na lang dun sa chat natin. Tapos you can send me, let's say, sample charts. If you need walk to say, for example, meron kayong tinrade. Tapos, sir, how would you have traded it using a swing momentum or how would you have analyzed it based on HF, LTF? Send yun na lang. Para gawan ko ng breakdown na, okay, if ito yung tinrade ko, or let's say, yung trade mo, how would I have traded it? I would break down na ito yung HTF idea ko, tapos ito yung LTF ko na gagawin, and so on. Okay? So yun lang. I-send yun na lang para agad tayo magkaroon ng idea. Kasi nga, if we deep dive into it, mas tatagal tayo. Pero at least, diba, we can go on to it sa Discord natin. Okay? Sige.